Sometimes I find myself wishing technology existed so much sooner in my lifetime, like maybe I could have been born into it. And then I think, well, maybe it's probably a really good thing we didn't have the internet 200 years ago, because how many of us wouldn't have even been born because great great grandpa didn't change his relationship status on Facebook? Oh, so it's complicated, is it, Seamus? Well, I'll make it real simple for you. You single, you article. Good luck.
Jip, jip, ich lass mich heute Abend blicken. Ich komm gut geschmückt in den Laden geritten. Alle tanzen, die Damen sind echt entzückend. Ganzes Backblech voller Sahne.
And the winner of the BH Cosmetics Nude Rose palette is Jessica Butler, picked at random using, I'll put the link below to the website that I use for everyone, and that's the first one that came up. I didn't have to get one. Oh, I didn't have to repick one from somebody who didn't want it. Sorry. We're trying to get a Kabuki to work out some of his energy tonight, so Zach is playing with him, and he's really enjoying it, as you can tell, so that he's not too wild at night. Anyway, congratulations, Jessica Butler. Obviously, you are not in North Korea, so contact me via my Twitter DM and give me an address that I can send it to. And if for some reason you cannot fulfill your duties, let me know. We'll step down and we'll pick the next person out of the hat. So congratulations. I'm looking forward to getting this for myself too. But contact me with your information and I will have it shipped out for you Monday. And as always, I will send a tracking number so you can enjoy watching it come to you all the way to where you are, which is certainly not North Korea. And everybody, I am going to do another giveaway next week. I wasn't planning on making giveaways a big thing, but there's just so many palettes I like that I want to share. And this next one is Urban Decay, and it just has gorgeous colors in it that I think everyone will really like. And so I just wanted to do two because I really, there's sales right now. It's pre-holiday, and I just want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your comments and views. Thank you so much, everyone. So I'm gone for 5 hours off the internet, and apparently I missed Dramageddon. All hell broke loose. As Rich Luck says, I can't get a day off. Please excuse the crazy kitty behind me as much as you can. I know he'll upstage me, and that's okay. Apparently, Thomas Halbert, who is pushing Manny MUA off the front page. Okay, don't attack those. Come on now. I don't want to have to go and replace him tomorrow. Anyway, I was going to talk about Manny MUA, which I will. I actually have notes on a lot of what I watched about him. But first, I want to talk about Thomas Halbert's video, Racism, Sexism, and Silence. Oh my. Apparently, he says that he was present when Jeffree Star said something racist. This is tricky because he doesn't really give good receipts. He says he was having a conversation with him in which he asked about racism. And Jeffree Star said to him, well, we've all said that word. That's more, I mean, it is very much taken out of context. We don't know what was going on in this conversation. If he said that, he may have a misperception, but that's not racism. I don't think we've all said that word. I grew up knowing that that was a bad word, and it's a word that kind of offends me coming from anyone. And I know people say don't give words power, and I see the point to that, but I'm not comfortable with any kind of a racial slur. I find any kind of prejudice, frankly, makes my skin crawl. And if I find out that Jeffree Star actually did call a person of color a gorilla, I'll be the first person to burn my blood sugar palette. I will never buy another Jeffree Star product if he did say that. But I need receipts because bold claims require bold evidence. And I'm sorry if you think my need to have that evidence means I'm somehow a Nazi or sympathizing with racism. I believe before you get out the thumb screws for somebody, you need to have a good reason. And actually, Thomas Halbert in his video says, well, I've done some stuff on the internet and I've stirred some things up, but I think it's from my traumatic childhood. Gives himself a pass and then says that Jeffree Star was saying something racist. And I think that is very easily misconstrued. And I'd like to know if that was the truth. And he is talking about the gorilla comment like it's the gospel truth. And I've heard that Here for the Tea has some accurate receipts on that. And I'm open to seeing what this evidence is, because it's never okay. And it's never not a racist comment, by the way. To call somebody of color a gorilla is going to be racist no matter how you slice it. I have no gray area on that comment. So that would be a problem for me. Absolutely. That being said, I have a real problem with Thomas's video. And as you can imagine, it was not easy for me to be objective about that kid and his epiphany when he's being so self-righteous. And this is the exact kid who's ageist, who not only screwed over a viewer on a giveaway and lied about it, he never apologized for it. He never owned it, rather. He just doubled down. And in his video, where he's on the cusp of an epiphany that most of us had decades before he was even a romantic evening, somehow he's on this insipid soapbox where he's like, we don't know with our white privilege how evil that word is. Well, I do know that's an offensive word, but I consider the racism and the ignorance behind it to be the real evil. And you've learned something that I've known for a very long time, and you found out that racism, and by the way, the hairdresser with the bee comment is definitely being racist if they say I called somebody that. That's racist. I don't know if Jeffree Star was there because he doesn't say that. This is when Thomas said that the hairdresser said that they called somebody the B word, a Mexican, the B word. I'm assuming he means they called him a beaner, which is a terrible, horrible racist slur. Not okay. I don't know how on board with that he was. I don't know how far things were going in that group. Not good. So he's talking about all of this. And meanwhile, he's never owned his own stuff. He says the stuff he's done was from a bad childhood. Well, do you think Jeffree had it well? Jeffree was kicked, spat on, and mistreated like an abused animal. And he lashed out. And when people lash out, they will say the most taboo thing they can think of saying. And this is really hard for people to accept, that possibly somebody was being outrageous more than racist. That kind of thing can be said by someone who would take a bullet for a person of color. It's what we do. We're what we do. We're not what we say. That being said, racist slurs are never okay. And I'm saying keep an open mind. And let's see these receipts. I'm open to seeing them. But Thomas was talking about this as if it was the gospel truth. He was suddenly, the timing of this is very suspect to me, because he never said anything before. It seems like whenever people come for Jeffree, they do it when he's no longer doing anything for their career, when he's either not giving them any attention or they think he might be able to be dethroned. There are so many people saying, why would Thomas lie? He has no reason to lie. Every time somebody says somebody doesn't have a reason to lie, I'm kind of shocked. Like, were you in a fallout shelter for a couple of decades? Since when do pathological people need a reason to lie? And dethroning someone from a very high position is a reason as old as time for people to lie. There's probably a caveman lying about another caveman saying he invented fire, and that guy didn't. So, I mean, it's just don't say that. Frankly, let's move beyond that. People lie. We don't always know the reasons. So there's a few reasons he could be lying that we're not aware of. So saying he has no reason to lie, nobody ever does have a good reason to lie. It was clear to me watching Thomas Halbert that I was looking at him through the lens of somebody he had offended with his ageism. He's so concerned suddenly, out of nowhere, with the racism he's suddenly aware of, that most of us have been aware of for many years. But what is he going to do? He says we need to educate ourselves. He says it's not enough. He said if I say I'm offended by just the 2 shades of tartar makeup for black people, that's not enough. I have to be educated. To what? Tell me what it is you need to be educated about before you can say you're offended that people of color aren't represented with the concealers. What education are you looking for there? You probably find it If you talk to black people, do you have any black friends? Have you given any black people a shout out? How about beauty gurus? Have you picked anybody of color to give a shout out to, or a beauty guru? I know one person you could shout out. How about Gadget Beat 30? That's the woman many of us defended against you when you cheated her out of a giveaway, and instead of apologizing, doubled down and tried to make her look like a crazy person. And anybody who asked you about it, or retweeted something of hers, or called you to task, or said they were disappointed, they all got blocked on Twitter. Because you've turned over such a new leaf and you've been doing so much self-examination that you'll just stick your fingers in your ear rather than hear criticism. You have zero loyalty for somebody you got close to and took everything he said out of context and told everyone at this point in time, without any receipts, without even good context for what you were talking about. And you said the people defending Gadget Beat 30 were some old, quote, old ass bitches. And you laughed and you were smug. And we turned that into a joke. And we've been enjoying that. But the fact is, it is a horrible thing to say. It is horrible to discount someone as a human being for any reason. You said racism, sexism, ableism. You left out ageism. Discounting anybody for something, whether they can control it or not, their age, their sex, their race, and all of those things, ableism, all of it is wrong. But you don't acknowledge what you do wrong. Oh, that's right, you had a bad childhood. Would you like to hear mine? Short of selling matches, I compare it to anybody's if we're going to have a contest about trauma. It's not a good story. I'll save it for my memoirs. Interesting reads in there. So you're sitting there, the kid who is smug about ageism, because what, you're the one person aging in reverse? Are you Merlin the makeup wizard? As far as I know, you go forward with your age. If aging offends you, feel free to stop aging. But I promise you, someday you will be 50 if you're lucky enough. And you too will have crow's feet and wisdom. And maybe you will be looking at somebody 21 and thinking to yourself, they have so much to learn. The burning irony is, you made fun of people for being older, as if I was born 50, as if I should trade in my opinions for a rocking chair. And I sat there today and watched you and thought, you looked like a fool compared to what I already know and have experienced. So maybe, instead of just writing off the old people as having nothing to teach you, maybe you should listen a little more before you lecture everybody on things they learned years before you were even born. So I just want to say in closing, I know this is such a sensitive topic for so many people, and I hope I've put in the right amount of disclaimers without over-explaining myself. I'm not, as a lot of you may know, not a big fan of explaining, because what did the diner packet say on the sugar diner packet? Never explain. Your friends don't need you to, and your enemies won't believe you anyway. Live a good life where you're kind to people. Don't just be aware of racism. Make sure that when you're in the face of it, you're not silent, no matter who's there, no matter who's looking. Always stick up for someone who's being mistreated in some way. If you can, anywhere you see injustice, that's really the strongest thing we can do is be the citizen of the future we want to see. And I want to see a future where people look at each other and just see another human being. With that, thank you so much. I appreciate you if you've watched this far. As always, I don't speak for everyone, just everyone who wants to be right. So saith a housefrau.